Imagine, for just a moment, that everything you've ever wanted, every dream that's ever stirred your soul, every aspiration that's kept you awake at night, already exists within you, right now, waiting to be awakened, waiting to be claimed, waiting to transform your entire existence from the inside out. That's not fantasy. That's not wishful thinking. That's the profound truth that S.M.R.E.L. discovered and shared in his transformative work on inner consciousness. And today, we're going to dive deep into these life-changing principles that have the power to revolutionize everything you thought you knew about yourself, your potential, and your place in this magnificent universe. You see, most people go through life completely unaware of the incredible power that lies dormant within them. They look outside themselves for answers, for validation, for success, for happiness, never realizing that the greatest treasure they could ever seek is already housed within the temple of their own being. S.M.R.E.L. recognized this fundamental truth, and his teachings serve as a roadmap, a guide, a beacon of light for anyone ready to embark on the most important journey they'll ever take, the journey inward, to discover the magnificent consciousness that defines who they truly are. The foundation of this entire philosophy rests on one revolutionary understanding. You are not merely a physical body navigating through a material world. You are, first and foremost, a conscious being, a spark of infinite intelligence, temporarily housed in physical form. Your true nature is consciousness itself, and when you awaken to this reality, when you truly comprehend the depth and breadth of what this means, everything changes. Your perspective shifts, your capabilities expand, your entire relationship with reality transforms. Think about it for a moment. What are you, really? Strip away the labels, the roles you play, the identities you've constructed, the stories you tell yourself, and what remains? Pure awareness, pure consciousness, the observer behind the observed, the knower behind all that is known. This consciousness, this essential you, is not limited by the constraints that seem to bind your physical form. It's not restricted by time or space in the way your body is. It's connected to something far greater, something infinite, something that mystics and sages throughout history have pointed toward with different words but the same essential meaning. S.M.R.E.L. teaches us that within each person exists multiple layers or levels of consciousness. There's the surface consciousness, the everyday awareness that most people identify as their entire self, the mind that worries about bills and schedules and what other people think, the consciousness that gets caught up in the drama and stress of daily life. But beneath this surface level, like an iceberg whose bulk remains hidden underwater, exists the deeper consciousness, the inner consciousness, the part of you that's connected to universal wisdom, infinite intelligence, creative power beyond measure. The tragedy is that most people never access this deeper level. They live their entire lives skating across the surface, never diving deep, never discovering the treasures that lie waiting in the depths of their own being. They experience life as a series of external events happening to them, never realizing they have the power to shape their reality from within. They feel like victims of circumstance, tossed about by the winds of fate, when all along they possessed the ability to become masters of their destiny. But here's where it gets truly exciting, truly empowering, truly life-changing. When you begin to awaken your inner consciousness, when you start to access these deeper levels of your being, you discover abilities and powers that seem almost miraculous from the perspective of ordinary surface consciousness. You find that you can influence your circumstances, attract opportunities, heal your body, expand your intelligence, tap into intuitive wisdom, and create the life you truly desire, not through force or struggle, but through alignment with the deeper currents of consciousness that flow through all things. The process of awakening this inner consciousness begins with a fundamental shift in how you perceive yourself. You must stop identifying exclusively with your physical body and your surface thoughts. You must begin to recognize yourself as consciousness itself, as awareness, as the eternal witness that observes all experiences but is not limited by them. This doesn't mean denying the physical or rejecting the material world. It means understanding the proper relationship between consciousness and form, between the inner and the outer, between the creator and the created. SMREL emphasizes that your thoughts are not random electrical impulses firing in your brain. They are creative forces, actual powers that shape your reality. Every thought you think sends out vibrations into the universe, attracting circumstances, people, and opportunities that match that vibration. This isn't mystical nonsense. It's a profound law of consciousness that operates with the same reliability as any law of physics. When you think thoughts of abundance, you set in motion forces that bring abundance into your life. When you think thoughts of limitation, you create limitations. Your outer world is always a reflection of your inner world, a mirror showing you the contents of your consciousness. Now, you might be thinking, but I've had positive thoughts before and nothing changed. I've visualized success and still experienced failure. I've tried affirmations and they didn't work. And here's the crucial distinction that SMREL makes so clear. It's not enough to think positive thoughts with your surface mind while your deeper consciousness remains programmed with opposite beliefs. It's not enough to say affirmations with your lips while your heart doubts. It's not enough to visualize success for 5 minutes a day while spending the other 23 hours and 55 minutes dwelling in fear and limitation. The real work, the transformative work, happens when you reprogram the deeper levels of your consciousness, when you plant new seeds in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, when you align all levels of your being with the reality you wish to create. This requires more than wishful thinking. It requires deliberate, consistent, focused mental discipline. It requires you to become a guardian of your thoughts, to watch what you allow into the sacred space of your consciousness, to consciously choose thoughts that support your highest vision rather than unconsciously accepting whatever thoughts drift through your mind. The inner consciousness is incredibly receptive to suggestion, especially when those suggestions are delivered with feeling, with emotion, with conviction. SMREL teaches that emotion is the language of the subconscious mind, the inner consciousness. When you combine a clear mental image with powerful positive emotion, you create a seed that, when planted in the consciousness, must grow and manifest in your outer experience. This is the secret behind all successful visualization, all effective prayer, all powerful manifestation. But there's more to it than just planting seeds. You must also prepare the soil. You must clear away the weeds of doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs that have taken root in your consciousness over years of conditioning. You must examine the beliefs you hold about yourself, about what's possible for you, about what you deserve, and you must uproot any belief that doesn't serve your highest good. This can be challenging because many of these beliefs operate below the level of conscious awareness. They're so familiar, so accepted, so deeply ingrained that you don't even recognize them as beliefs. You experience them as truths about reality. SMREL provides practical techniques for this inner work, for this reprogramming of consciousness. One of the most powerful is the practice of concentrated attention, of focusing your mind single-pointedly on the qualities, attributes, and circumstances you wish to develop or attract. When you hold your attention steadily on a thought or image, You charge it with power. You give it energy. You make it real in the only place where anything ever becomes real, in consciousness itself. Everything that exists in the physical world existed first in consciousness, as a thought, as an image, as an idea. The buildings you see around you, the technology you use, the relationships you experience, all of these manifested first in someone's consciousness before taking physical form. This means you are a creator, whether you know it or not, whether you do it consciously or unconsciously. You are always creating your reality through the contents of your consciousness. The question is not whether you have this power. The question is whether you will use it deliberately or allow it to operate randomly, creating by default rather than by design. Most people are creating their lives unconsciously, allowing their consciousness to be programmed by external influences, by media, by other people's opinions, by past experiences, by fears inherited from their culture or family. They become victims of their own unchecked consciousness. But when you awaken to the truth of your inner consciousness, you step into your role as a deliberate creator. You take responsibility for the contents of your mind. You understand that if you don't like what you're experiencing in your outer world, you must change what you're holding in your inner world. This is empowering beyond measure because it means you're never truly stuck. You're never truly powerless. You're never truly without options. No matter what your current circumstances might be, you always have the ability to change your consciousness. And when you change your consciousness, your circumstances must eventually change to match. SMREL also speaks to the importance of relaxation and receptivity in accessing the deeper levels of consciousness. When your mind is tense, busy, scattered, racing from thought to thought, you remain trapped at the surface level. The inner consciousness reveals itself in states of calm, peace, stillness, relaxation. This is why meditation has been practiced by spiritual seekers throughout history. It's a technology for quieting the surface mind so the deeper mind can be accessed. In that stillness, in that silence, you can hear the whispers of your inner wisdom. You can feel the guidance of your intuition. You can connect with the infinite intelligence that flows through all creation. Many people resist this idea of stillness because our culture glorifies busyness, celebrates constant activity, rewards those who never stop moving. But there's a profound difference between productive action that flows from inner clarity and frantic activity that comes from fear or confusion. When you take time to go within, to quiet your mind, to listen to your inner consciousness, the actions you take afterward are far more effective, far more aligned, far more powerful. You move from a place of knowing rather than guessing, from certainty rather than anxiety, from inspiration rather than desperation. The inner consciousness also connects you to a universal consciousness, a collective intelligence that some call God, some call the universe, some call the divine mind, some call Source. Whatever name you give it, there exists a greater consciousness beyond your individual mind, a consciousness that contains all knowledge, all wisdom, all possibilities. Your inner consciousness is your access point to this universal consciousness, your connection to the infinite. When you learn to tune into this connection, you gain access to insights and understandings that transcend your personal knowledge and experience. This explains those moments when you just know something without knowing how you know it, when an answer appears in your mind seemingly out of nowhere, when you have a gut feeling that turns out to be absolutely right, when coincidences and synchronicities line up perfectly to support your goals. These aren't accidents or luck. They're evidence of your inner consciousness working in harmony with universal consciousness, drawing toward you exactly what you need, guiding you toward exactly where you need to be, connecting you with exactly who you need to meet. SMREL emphasizes that this isn't about wishful thinking or passive waiting for the universe to deliver your desires. It's about actively engaging with your inner consciousness, deliberately directing your mental and emotional energies, taking inspired action based on the guidance you receive from within. It's a partnership between you and the infinite, between your individual will and the universal will, between your conscious desires and the deeper wisdom of your inner being. One of the most powerful teachings in this philosophy is the concept of mental equivalence. This means that for anything to manifest in your outer experience, you must first have an equivalent of it in your consciousness. You cannot attract or create anything in your life that you don't first hold as a reality in your mind. If you want prosperity but your consciousness is filled with thoughts of lack and limitation, prosperity cannot come to you. There's no mental equivalent to attract it. If you want loving relationships but your consciousness is filled with beliefs about being unlovable or unworthy, those relationships cannot manifest. There's no space for them in your consciousness. This is why affirmations alone often fail. People say words about abundance while their consciousness remains programmed with scarcity. They repeat statements about confidence while their inner consciousness believes they're inadequate. They visualize success while their deeper mind expects failure. The words and images are working against the deeper programming, creating internal conflict rather than aligned power. The solution is to do the deeper work of actually changing what you believe at the level of inner consciousness, not just what you say with your conscious mind. So how do you create these mental equivalents? How do you reprogram your inner consciousness? SMREL teaches several methods, all of which involve consistent, repeated exposure to the thoughts, images, and feelings you wish to instill. One powerful technique is to create a clear, detailed mental picture of what you desire. Then spend time each day dwelling on this image, feeling the feelings you would feel if it were already real, thinking the thoughts you would think if it were already true, acting as if it's already done. This isn't pretending or denial, it's a sophisticated use of the law of consciousness, understanding that your inner consciousness cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and an actual experience. When you repeatedly impress an image upon your inner consciousness with feeling and conviction, that consciousness accepts it as reality and begins to work toward manifesting it in your outer world. This happens automatically, below the level of conscious awareness. Your inner consciousness will guide you toward opportunities, attract helpful people and circumstances, inspire you with ideas, and orchestrate coincidences, all in service of manifesting what you've impressed upon it. This is the secret behind every great achievement, every remarkable success, every dream that became reality. Someone held a vision in their consciousness with such clarity and conviction that it had to manifest. But here's what many teachers miss and what SMREL makes beautifully clear. This isn't just about getting things, about manifesting money or cars or houses. Those are nice, sure, but the real treasure is the consciousness itself, the development of your inner being, the expansion of your awareness, the deepening of your connection to your true nature. When you awaken your inner consciousness, you don't just gain the ability to create better circumstances, you become a better, more evolved, more complete person. You discover peace that doesn't depend on external conditions, joy that flows from within rather than from without, love that isn't conditional on others' behavior, strength that comes from your core rather than from your circumstances. This is what makes this teaching so profound, so transformative, so valuable. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme or a superficial technique for material gain. It's a comprehensive philosophy for conscious evolution, for becoming who you truly are, for expressing the fullest potential that lies dormant within you. Yes, You can use these principles to improve your finances, your health, your relationships, your career, and you absolutely should. But the greatest reward is the inner transformation itself, the awakening to your true nature as consciousness, as creative power, as an individualized expression of the infinite. SMREL also addresses the importance of faith, not blind faith or religious dogma, but faith as a state of consciousness, as a knowing that transcends doubt. When you have true faith, you're not hoping or wishing, you're knowing. You've impressed something so deeply into your inner consciousness that doubt cannot shake it. Fear cannot diminish it. External circumstances cannot contradict it. This kind of faith is not given to you. It's developed through experience, through seeing the principles work, through testing them in your own life and proving their validity. Start small if you need to. Choose something relatively minor that you'd like to manifest or change. Apply these principles with consistency and dedication. Watch what happens. When you see results, your faith grows, not in some external deity or force, but in the power of your own consciousness, in the laws that govern the relationship between inner and outer, between thought and thing, between consciousness and manifestation. As your faith grows, you can tackle bigger challenges, create more ambitious goals, transform more significant aspects of your life. The journey of awakening your inner consciousness is not always easy, not always comfortable, not always immediate in its results. You'll encounter resistance, both from within yourself and from the world around you. Your old programming will fight to maintain itself. Your habitual thought patterns will try to reassert themselves. People around you may resist or question your changes. This is natural. This is expected. This is part of the process. Every great transformation involves growing pains. Every significant evolution requires leaving behind what no longer serves you. But here's what you need to understand with every fiber of your being. The power within you is greater than any obstacle you'll ever face. The consciousness you're awakening is more real and more lasting than any temporary difficulty. The truth of your being is more fundamental than any limiting belief or challenging circumstance. When you commit to this path, when you dedicate yourself to awakening and developing your inner consciousness, you align yourself with the most powerful force in the universe, consciousness itself, the creative power behind all existence. SMREL reminds us that this power isn't something you need to create or acquire. It's already present within you. It's your birthright, your true nature, your essential being. You don't need to become powerful. You need to recognize the power you already possess. You don't need to develop consciousness. You need to awaken to the consciousness you already are. This isn't about adding something to yourself. It's about removing the barriers, the limitations, the false beliefs that have obscured your true nature. Think of it like the sun behind clouds. The sun is always shining, always radiating light and warmth. But clouds can temporarily obscure it, make it seem like the sun isn't there or isn't powerful. Your inner consciousness is like that sun, always present, always powerful, always ready to shine forth, but obscured by the clouds of doubt, fear, limiting beliefs, negative conditioning, unconscious programming. As you clear away these clouds through the practices and principles SMREL teaches, your true nature shines forth, and your life transforms in ways you might never have imagined possible. One particularly powerful aspect of this teaching is the emphasis on present moment awareness. Your inner consciousness exists only in the now, in this eternal present moment. The past exists only as memories held in consciousness. The future exists only as thoughts and images in consciousness. But the actual creative power is always in the present. This is where you plant seeds, where you impress images, where you direct your thoughts, where you feel your feelings, where you make your choices. Most people miss the power of the present because they're mentally living in the past, replaying old hurts, or projecting into an imagined future, worrying about what might happen. When you bring your awareness fully into the present moment, you access the full power of your consciousness. You can feel the aliveness that flows through you. You can sense the infinite potential that exists in this now. You can make choices from a place of clarity rather than from habitual patterns. This doesn't mean you don't plan for the future or learn from the past. It means you do both of those things consciously, deliberately, from a place of present awareness, rather than being unconsciously controlled by past conditioning or future fears. SMREL teaches that your inner consciousness is also the seat of your intuition, your inner guidance system. When you quiet the chatter of your surface mind and tune into the deeper levels of your being, you can access wisdom that transcends logic, knowledge that exceeds what you've learned through ordinary experience, guidance that points you toward your highest good. This intuitive knowing often comes as a feeling, a sense, a quiet certainty, rather than as words or logical arguments. Learning to trust and follow this inner guidance is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. The challenge is that your intuition often contradicts your logic. Your inner guidance frequently points in directions that don't make sense to your rational mind. Your deeper wisdom sometimes asks you to do things that feel scary or uncomfortable to your ego. But this is where faith comes in, the faith we discussed earlier. The knowing that your inner consciousness is connected to a wisdom greater than your individual mind, an intelligence that can see the bigger picture, a power that's working for your ultimate benefit even when you can't see how. Many people have had the experience of following their intuition and being amazed at how things worked out, even though it didn't make logical sense at the time. Maybe they felt guided to take a different route home and later discovered there was a massive accident on their usual route. Maybe they felt compelled to call someone and that person desperately needed support in that moment. Maybe they had a strong feeling about a business decision that turned out to be exactly right. These are all examples of inner consciousness in action, of the deeper knowing that's available when you tune into it. As you develop your inner consciousness, you also develop greater self-awareness. You become conscious of patterns that previously operated unconsciously. You recognize thoughts and beliefs that have been running your life without your knowledge. You see clearly the connection between your inner state and your outer circumstances. This awareness is essential for change because you cannot change what you're not aware of. Many people keep recreating the same problems, attracting the same types of difficult relationships, experiencing the same financial struggles, because they're unconscious of the patterns in their own consciousness that create these experiences. But when you shine the light of awareness on these patterns, when you become conscious of your unconscious programming, you gain the power to change it. You can look at a limiting belief and say, "That's not true. I don't have to believe that anymore. I choose to believe something different." You can notice a self-defeating thought pattern and consciously redirect your thinking. You can feel an old emotional reaction arising and choose a different response. This is true freedom, not freedom from external circumstances, but freedom at the level of consciousness itself, the freedom to choose what you think, what you believe, how you respond, who you become. SMREL also speaks to the importance of persistence and consistency in this work. Your consciousness didn't develop its current patterns overnight, and it won't be reprogrammed overnight. The limiting beliefs you hold have been reinforced thousands of times through repetition. They've created neural pathways in your brain. They've become your default way of perceiving and responding to reality. To create new patterns, new beliefs, new ways of being, You must be willing to repeat your new thoughts, images, and affirmations with equal or greater frequency and intensity. This is where many people give up. They try these principles for a few days or a few weeks, don't see immediate dramatic results, and conclude that it doesn't work. But consciousness transformation is more like physical fitness than like flipping a light switch. You don't go to the gym once and become fit. You don't eat one healthy meal and transform your body. You don't learn one new skill and become an expert. It takes consistent, repeated effort over time. But just like physical exercise, every repetition matters, every practice session counts, every time you redirect your thoughts or impress a new image on your consciousness, you're making progress, even if you can't see it yet. The results will come, they must come, because you're working with universal laws, with the fundamental principles that govern the relationship between consciousness and experience. Just as a seed planted in good soil and given proper care must eventually sprout and grow, so too must the seeds you plant in your consciousness eventually manifest in your experience. The timing might not match your expectations, the form might be different than you imagined, but the essence of what you've held in consciousness must eventually appear in your world. Another crucial teaching is about the power of emotion in this process. S.M.R.E.L. emphasizes that thoughts alone have relatively little power, but thoughts charged with emotion become magnetic forces that rapidly attract corresponding circumstances. When you think about something you desire while feeling the joy, excitement, gratitude, and love associated with having it, you create a powerful attractive force. When you think about something you fear while feeling anxiety, dread, and worry, you create an equally powerful attractive force drawing that feared thing toward you. This is why gratitude is such a powerful practice, not as a technique to manipulate the universe, but because genuine gratitude places you in a positive emotional state that attracts more things to be grateful for. When you feel grateful, you're in a high vibration. You're aligned with positive aspects of consciousness. You're creating mental equivalents of abundance and blessing. The universe, or your inner consciousness, or however you want to understand it, responds by bringing more experiences that match that vibration. Similarly, this is why worry is so destructive. When you worry, you're not just thinking about potential problems. You're feeling the emotions associated with those problems. You're creating mental equivalents of the very things you don't want. You're impressing your consciousness with images of lack, limitation, loss, and difficulty. Your consciousness accepts these impressions and begins manifesting them, not because you want them, but because you've made them real in your consciousness through the combination of thought and feeling. Understanding this gives you tremendous power and tremendous responsibility. You can't afford to indulge in negative emotions, not because they're wrong or bad, but because they're creative forces shaping your reality. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or pretending to feel what you don't feel. It means processing difficult emotions when they arise, learning from them, and then consciously choosing to return to a positive emotional state. It means guarding your emotional energy as carefully as you'd guard your most valuable possessions. S.M.R.E.L. teaches that you can consciously choose your emotional state. This is one of the greatest powers of an awakened consciousness. You're not a victim of your emotions, tossed about by every feeling that arises. You're the master of your emotional world, able to observe feelings without being controlled by them, able to shift your state through conscious choice and practice. Yes, this takes skill and practice, but it's absolutely possible, and it's absolutely essential for anyone who wants to take control of their consciousness and their life. The practice of deliberately generating positive emotions, even when circumstances seem negative, is one of the most powerful techniques you can master. when you can feel joy despite challenges, when you can maintain peace despite chaos, when you can experience love despite difficulties, you're demonstrating true mastery of consciousness. You're proving that your inner state is not dependent on outer conditions, that you're not a puppet controlled by circumstances, that you're a sovereign being with dominion over your own consciousness. This brings us to another vital principle: the idea of living from your vision rather than from your circumstances. Most people let their current reality dictate how they think and feel. They look at what is and let that determine what they believe is possible. They see limitation and conclude they're limited. They experience lack and believe in scarcity. They encounter obstacles and decide they can't succeed. But this is exactly backward from how consciousness creation works. To truly harness the power of your inner consciousness, you must learn to live from your vision, from the reality you want to create, from the truth of your potential, even while your current circumstances might look completely different. This isn't denial, it's recognition that your circumstances are always temporary, always changeable, always a reflection of past consciousness, while your vision represents the consciousness you're cultivating now that will create your future circumstances. When you live from your vision, you think thoughts consistent with where you're going rather than where you've been. You feel emotions aligned with what you're creating rather than what you're experiencing. You take actions that match your desired reality rather than actions that keep you stuck in current limitations. This creates a powerful momentum, a forward movement of consciousness that inevitably transforms your outer world to match your inner world. S-M-R-E-L is clear that this isn't about ignoring practical responsibilities or pretending problems don't exist. It's about handling whatever needs to be handled in your current situation while simultaneously holding space in your consciousness for something better, for something greater, for the fulfillment of your highest vision. It's about being responsive to what is while remaining faithful to what can be. The journey of awakening inner consciousness also involves developing what might be called spiritual or metaphysical understanding. You begin to see that you're not separate from the universe but intimately connected to all that is. You recognize that the same consciousness that flows through you flows through all things. You understand that at the deepest level, we're all expressions of one infinite consciousness individualized in countless forms. This understanding naturally cultivates compassion, reduces fear, eliminates the sense of isolation that causes so much suffering. When you recognize your unity with all life, competition transforms into cooperation, judgment transforms into acceptance, fear of others transforms into love for humanity. You understand that helping others is helping yourself, that what you do to another you do to yourself, that we're all in this together. This isn't just a nice spiritual sentiment, it's a recognition of the actual structure of consciousness itself. The understanding that separation is an illusion of the surface level while unity is the truth of the deeper level. As your inner consciousness awakens, you may also experience what some call mystical or transcendent states, moments when you feel directly connected to the infinite, when the boundaries of your individual self seem to dissolve, when you experience a profound peace and love in knowing that transcends ordinary understanding. These experiences, while temporary, provide glimpses of your true nature, confirmations that you are indeed far more than you appear to be, reminders of the magnificent reality that lies behind the veil of ordinary perception. S-M-R-E-L encourages seekers not to chase these experiences but to welcome them if they come, to learn from them, to let them deepen your faith and understanding, but not to make them the goal of your practice. The goal is not transcendent experiences but transcendent consciousness, not momentary glimpses but permanent awakening, not occasional elevated states but consistent elevated awareness that informs every aspect of your daily life. One of the most practical applications of these teachings is in the area of health and healing. Your body is not separate from your consciousness. It's an expression of your consciousness, a vehicle through which consciousness experiences physical reality. The state of your body reflects the state of your consciousness to a significant degree. When you hold patterns of stress, anxiety, fear, resentment, or other negative states in your consciousness, these patterns can manifest as tension, illness, and disease in your body. Conversely, when you cultivate patterns of peace, joy, love, and vitality in your consciousness, these patterns support health, healing, and physical well-being. This doesn't mean that all illness is caused by negative thinking or that positive thinking alone can cure all disease. The relationship between consciousness and physical form is complex and influenced by many factors. But it does mean that your consciousness is always a significant factor in your health, and by working with your inner consciousness, you can support your body's natural healing capabilities, strengthen your immune system, and create the optimal conditions for physical well-being. The principles of impressing your inner consciousness apply here as well. You can create clear mental images of your body healthy, vital, functioning perfectly. You can feel the feelings of wellness and vitality. You can think thoughts of health rather than disease. You can speak words of healing rather than words of sickness. Combined with appropriate medical care when needed, these consciousness practices can significantly support physical healing and maintenance of health. SMREL also addresses the importance of your environment in supporting or hindering your consciousness development. The people you spend time with, the media you consume, the conversations you participate in, the spaces you inhabit, all of these influence your consciousness. If you're surrounded by negativity, complaining, fear, and limitation, it's much harder to maintain a consciousness of positivity, possibility, and power. Not impossible, but harder. This is why it's wise to be selective about your environment, to choose inputs that support the consciousness you're developing, to surround yourself when possible with people who inspire and elevate you, to consume media that educates and uplifts you, to create physical spaces that feel peaceful and energizing. You don't need to become isolated or judgmental, but you do need to be conscious of how your environment affects your consciousness and make choices accordingly. As you progress on this journey, you'll likely find that some relationships naturally fall away while others deepen, that certain activities that once seemed important no longer interest you while new interests emerge, that your priorities shift and reorganize themselves around your developing consciousness. This is natural and healthy, a sign that you're growing, evolving, becoming more of who you truly are. Trust this process, honor the changes, even when they feel uncomfortable or scary. The path of awakening inner consciousness is ultimately a path of coming home to yourself, of discovering and embodying your true nature, of expressing the unique gift that you came here to share. Every person has a unique contribution to make, a specific way their consciousness can bless the world, talents and abilities that are theirs alone to develop and share. As you awaken your inner consciousness, you naturally align with your purpose. You're drawn toward activities and opportunities that allow you to express your gifts. You find yourself in the right place at the right time meeting the right people. This isn't luck or coincidence. It's consciousness in action. It's the natural result of aligning your individual consciousness with the universal consciousness. It's what happens when you stop fighting against your true nature and start flowing with it. So much suffering comes from trying to be something we're not, from chasing goals that don't truly resonate with our soul, from living according to other people's expectations rather than our own truth. When you awaken your inner consciousness, you develop the clarity to know what's truly yours to do and the courage to do it. SMREL reminds us that this journey is not about perfection but about progress, not about never having a negative thought but about becoming more conscious of your thoughts and more skilled at directing them, not about achieving some final state of enlightenment but about continuously expanding your consciousness, continuously growing, continuously evolving. There is no finish line, no point where you've arrived and the journey is over. Consciousness is infinite, and so the journey of exploring consciousness is infinite as well. This should be liberating rather than discouraging. It means you never need to feel like a failure because you haven't arrived yet, because there is no yet to arrive at. It means you can relax into the journey, enjoy the process, celebrate every insight and breakthrough and bit of progress. It means you can be patient with yourself, compassionate with your struggles, gentle with your setbacks, knowing that every experience is part of your evolution. Every challenge is an opportunity for growth. Every moment is a chance to practice consciousness. The practices and principles that S.M.R.E.L. teaches are not complicated or esoteric. They're simple and practical, accessible to anyone regardless of education, background, or circumstance. You don't need special abilities or mystical experiences to begin working with your inner consciousness. You just need willingness, consistency, and dedication. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Every journey begins with a single step, and every step matters. Begin by simply observing your thoughts. Notice what you think about throughout the day without judging yourself. This alone will begin to create space between you and your thoughts, will help you recognize that you are not your thoughts but the consciousness that observes thoughts. As you develop this observing capacity, you gain power over your mental world. You become less controlled by habitual patterns, more able to choose consciously. Then begin to work with directing your thoughts deliberately. Choose one area of your life you'd like to improve. Create a clear vision of how you'd like it to be. Then spend time each day thinking about this vision, feeling the feelings associated with it, impressing it on your consciousness. Do this consistently, without obsessing over when or how it will manifest, trusting that your inner consciousness is receiving these impressions and will orchestrate the necessary changes. Practice feeling positive emotions deliberately. Find things to appreciate, cultivate gratitude, generate joy even from small pleasures, create love in your heart for yourself and others. These aren't just nice feelings, they're powerful forces that shape your consciousness and your reality. The more you practice positive emotions, the more natural they become, the more you establish them as your baseline state. Take time for stillness and silence regularly. Even just a few minutes a day of sitting quietly, breathing deeply, letting your mind settle, can make a tremendous difference. In these moments, you're not trying to achieve anything or get anywhere. You're simply being, simply resting in your essential nature as consciousness, simply allowing yourself to be recharged by the infinite source that flows through all things. Pay attention to your intuition. Notice the subtle guidance that comes from within, the quiet nudges, the gentle inclinations, the sense of knowing. Start with small things. Follow your intuition on minor decisions. See what happens. As you build trust in this inner guidance through experience, you'll find yourself trusting it more on bigger things, allowing it to guide you toward opportunities and away from pitfalls that your logical mind might not recognize. Watch your words carefully. The things you say about yourself, about your life, about what's possible for you. These are seeds you're planting in your consciousness. Speak as if the reality you desire is already true, not as arrogant pretense but as faithful recognition of what exists in consciousness and must therefore eventually manifest in form. If you're working on financial abundance, stop saying, "I'm broke," or "I can't afford it," and start saying, "I'm building wealth, or money flows to me easily. Your words shape your consciousness, and your consciousness shapes your world. Surround yourself with reminders of your vision. Create vision boards, write affirmations, set reminders on your phone. Whatever helps keep your desired reality present in your consciousness throughout the day. The more frequently you remind yourself of what you're creating, the more deeply you impress it on your inner consciousness, the more rapidly it manifests. Repetition is key, not because you need to convince the universe, but because you need to reprogram your own deeper mind. Be patient but persistent. Some changes happen quickly, others take more time. Some areas of life respond rapidly to consciousness work, others have more resistance to overcome. Don't let slower progress discourage you or make you doubt the principles. The laws of consciousness are operating whether you see immediate results or not. Every thought you think, every image you hold, every emotion you feel is having an effect, is making a difference, is contributing to the eventual manifestation of your desires. Learn to recognize and celebrate progress in all its forms. Sometimes progress looks like external changes, new opportunities, improved circumstances, tangible results. But sometimes progress is internal, a shift in how you perceive things, a decrease in anxiety or fear, an increase in peace or confidence, a new insight or understanding. All progress matters, all growth counts, all evolution is valuable. Don't discount the inner changes while waiting for outer changes. The inner changes are the foundation upon which outer changes are built. When obstacles arise, and they will, see them not as evidence that the principles don't work but as opportunities to deepen your practice, to strengthen your faith, to prove your commitment. Obstacles often appear just before breakthroughs. Resistance often intensifies right before transformation. Doubt often emerges when you're on the verge of a new level. This is natural. This is part of the process. This is how consciousness grows, by encountering and overcoming challenges. Use challenges as information. What are they showing you about your consciousness? What beliefs are they revealing? What fears are they bringing to the surface? Rather than being frustrated by obstacles, be curious about them. Learn from them. Use them as tools for deeper self-awareness and consciousness development. Every challenge is a teacher. Every difficulty is an opportunity. Every setback contains the seeds of a comeback. Remember always that you are working with infinite power, with consciousness itself, with the creative force behind all existence. This power is not diminished by your doubts or strengthened by your belief. It simply is, eternal and unchanging. What does? Changes your access to this power, your ability to channel it, your skill in directing it. And these things improve with practice, with dedication, with commitment to the journey. S.M.R.E.L's teachings remind us that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, not human beings occasionally having spiritual experiences. Your essential nature is consciousness, is spirit, is infinite and eternal. The physical life you're living is a temporary expression of this eternal consciousness, an opportunity to experience, create, learn, grow, and evolve. When you understand this, when you really get it deep in your being, everything shifts. Death loses its terror, life gains new meaning, challenges become interesting rather than threatening, success becomes an expression of your nature rather than something you need to prove. The awakening of inner consciousness is not just for your individual benefit, though you certainly benefit tremendously. As you awaken, as you embody higher consciousness, as you live from your true nature, you become a light for others, an example of what's possible, an inspiration that helps others recognize their own potential. Your elevated consciousness raises the consciousness of everyone you encounter, even without words, even without trying. Consciousness is contagious. It spreads through fields we don't fully understand. It influences in ways beyond our comprehension. This means that your consciousness work is not selfish. It's one of the most generous things you can do. By awakening your own consciousness, by healing your own limitations, by embodying your highest potential, you make it easier for others to do the same. You change the collective consciousness of humanity, one awakened individual at a time. This is how the world transforms, not through external revolutions but through internal evolution, not through changing structures but through changing consciousness, not through fighting against what we don't want but through embodying what we do want. As you continue on this journey, you'll discover capacities you never knew you had. You'll experience synchronicities and miracles that defy logical explanation. You'll find yourself living a life that exceeds your previous dreams because you've expanded your consciousness beyond your previous limitations. You'll look back at who you were before this awakening and barely recognize that person, not with judgment but with compassion and gratitude for the journey that brought you here. And here's the beautiful truth. You're only beginning. You've only scratched the surface of what's possible. You've only tapped into a fraction of the consciousness that's available to you. The journey ahead is filled with wonder, with discovery, with continuous expansion into greater and greater expressions of your true nature. There are no limits except those you accept, no ceilings except those you impose, no boundaries except those you believe in. As you release limiting beliefs, you discover unlimited potential. As you expand your consciousness, you expand your life. The principles that S.M.R.E.L. teaches are not theories to be intellectually understood but practices to be lived, not concepts to be debated but experiences to be embodied, not information to be stored but wisdom to be applied. Reading about consciousness is valuable. Understanding these principles is important. But the real transformation happens when you put them into practice, when you live them daily, when you make them your way of being rather than just ideas you think about occasionally. So take what you've learned here and use it. Start today. Start now. Start with this very moment. Notice your thoughts right now. What are you thinking? Choose thoughts that serve you. Notice your emotional state right now. How are you feeling? Choose to feel something that empowers you. Notice your vision for your life right now. What do you truly want? Create a clear image and impress it on your consciousness with feeling and faith. This is not someday work. This is not when conditions are perfect work. This is right now work. Your consciousness is creating your reality in this moment and this moment and this moment. Every moment is a new opportunity to direct your consciousness deliberately, to choose your thoughts consciously, to feel your feelings intentionally, to align with your highest vision. Don't wait for circumstances to change before you change your consciousness. Change your consciousness and watch your circumstances transform. The power is within you right now, not in some distant future after you've studied more or prepared more or become more ready. You already have everything you need. You already are everything you need to be. You already possess the consciousness that, when awakened and directed, can create anything you desire. Stop looking outside yourself for permission or validation or the secret key. The secret is simple. Consciousness creates reality. Thought becomes thing. Inner determines outer. Accept this, believe this, live this, and watch your life transform. And as you experience this transformation, as you prove these principles in your own life, as you awaken to the magnificent truth of your being, remember to share what you've learned. Not in a preachy or superior way, but through your example, through your energy, through your willingness to help others when they're ready. The consciousness community grows as awakened individuals help others awaken, as those who've found the path help others find it, as those who've discovered their power help others discover theirs. Before we wrap up, I want to encourage you to engage with this content, to make it yours, to let it transform you. If you found value in this exploration of inner consciousness, if something here resonated with your soul, if you feel called to this path of awakening, do me a favor. Like this video, it helps more people find this information. It spreads these consciousness-raising principles to those who are ready for them. It supports the creation of more content like this. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future explorations of consciousness, spirituality, personal development, and the principles that govern reality creation. More importantly, apply what you've learned. Don't just consume this as entertainment or interesting information. Use it, practice it, embody it, live it. Your life is the laboratory where you test these principles. Your consciousness is the canvas where you create your masterpiece. Your daily experience is the proof that consciousness creates reality. Start small if you need to, but start. Begin today with one practice, one principle, one conscious choice to direct your thoughts toward what you desire rather than what you fear. The journey of awakening inner consciousness is the greatest adventure you'll ever undertake. More exciting than any external journey, more rewarding than any external achievement, more fulfilling than any external acquisition. Because what you discover on this journey is yourself, your true nature, your infinite potential, your divine essence. And once you've discovered this, once you've awakened to this, once you've embodied this, nothing can ever be the same. You've crossed a threshold that cannot be uncrossed. You've seen a truth that cannot be unseen. You've tasted a reality that makes all lesser realities pale in comparison. So welcome to this path. Embrace this journey. Commit to this awakening. The world needs your light, needs your consciousness, needs the unique expression of infinite potential that only you can manifest. As you awaken, you help awaken humanity. As you rise, you help raise the collective. As you embody higher consciousness, you make it easier for others to do the same. This is your calling, your purpose, your contribution to the evolution of human consciousness. Thank you for taking this journey through the profound teachings of inner consciousness. Thank you for your openness, your willingness to consider these principles, your commitment to your own growth and evolution. May you awaken fully to the magnificent being you truly are. May you embody the highest consciousness available to you. May you create a life that reflects the infinite potential within you. The power is yours. The consciousness is yours. The potential is yours. Now go forth and claim it, embody it, live it. Your greatest life awaits, and it begins with awakening your inner consciousness. Until next time, stay conscious, stay powerful, stay aligned with your highest truth. Like, subscribe, and most importantly, awaken.